Good afternoon and welcome to H3 TV. We are so happy that you are joining us today. Every Wednesday, we come on to our H3 TV talk show to encourage you to be hopeful, healthy, and happy. And sometimes that can be challenging. So I love to invite guests to either talk about hope, health, or happiness. Today, I have Tim Gabrielson with us, and he's going to talk about happiness, or we're going to talk about happiness and have some fun with you. So please give a warm welcome to my friend, Tim. Hey, Tim. We're so happy to have you. Who are you? What do you do?
Who am
Tell us
I?
about you.
Um, I thought we were friends. Why are you asking me? No,
We are,
I
but
am
some of
Tim.
my friends don't know you yet. So,
um, I just made you admit that you're my friend on live. My name is Tim Gabrielson, and I am a speaker, author, entertainer, and I've had the pleasure of working with you, Annie, for a few years. And yeah, we're here, I guess, to talk about happiness.
yes, to talk about happiness. That's right. And because that's what we do. We speak about it, we write about it, we joke about it, and we encourage people about it. So, what are some of your keys to staying happy? How do you stay happy? The world can be hard, can't it? So, how do you stay happy? Share some of your tips.
Um, yeah, I think. Thank you for asking and leading that great question. You're a great commentary. It's harder than people will admit or want to admit. I think because this is interaction to stay happy. For me, um, uh, happiness it's systematic. Earlier, before this, we went live here. We were talking about systems and things for ourselves. I think we need those daily routines. We
Mm.
need those things in our mind to choose happy. You know, for a long time as a speaker, I used to stand on a platform and tell people, "You have to just choose happy," and then life happens, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's wrong. That's hard. You can't just choose this." I mean, uh, because it's so fleeting, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, now I'm not happy." So this is a lie. So I think it needs to be that system. It's that moment when you wake up in the morning, and it's like this. I've heard it said before. This isn't mine, but life is like a menu, right? And you get to decide what it is that you're going to do. You make that decision. All the cliches, there's something true about cliches, right? I mean, they maybe make you spit up in your throat a little bit sometimes, but there's truth in it. And the idea that I'm going to choose today to be the best version of myself. I'm going to choose today to be happy, even when things aren't. So I like to use the phrase independent or of your circumstance, right? Or it cannot be circumstance based. I need to choose that I'm going to choose the best attitude. I think that's attitude to me is bigger than the happiness, but choose the attitude that's going to bring me the happy. So for me, I wrote down some things like the 5 things you do. Number one, I think everyone should do some sort of exercise. I think that's very important, and not scientifically and biologically and all those things, yes, all the chemicals get released and all that. I'm not a doctor, so you don't need to hear me tell you those things, but it's just good for you and it's good brain food. So when we exercise, it kind of starts us off. I think if there's a problem, people sometimes bury the issue, and I think always whenever there's an issue or problem, to hit it direct, go right into and hit it dead on, whatever the issue is or circumstance. For me, this is what works, not for everyone. Um, uh, the big clincher for me is negative self-talk. I'm so guilty. I have conversations throughout my day with people that aren't even here. But if I had a problem with someone, I will have a full-on conversation of how I'd like to talk to you and what I would say. I find myself, I'm taking the laundry out or whatever I'm doing, right? Or mowing the lawn, and I'm like, yeah, well, if you would have been, I'm going through this whole negative self-talk. So I'm big on removing the negative thinking. I'm finding that positive um, reinforcement in my brain to not be negative, to remove negative thinking, negative self-talk. That would be probably number 3. I think connecting with people. I believe that we are designed to be in community. I think we need to be in connection, and the past quite a few months has been difficult to do that, on many levels. but you can pick up the phone, you can FaceTime. Technology is beautiful. We can do this. Talk to people. I think connecting with people is one of those things that keeps you happy. And I think if I was, is that 4? I think my 5th, there's too many. But
You don't have to have 5.
be intentional.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Everything needs to be intentional. We talked even earlier about this. It's like sometimes we just put out fires all day long, and we're just okay. I got to take care of this, then I got to take care of this, then the day's over. It's like, where did the day go? Did I do anything today? And it's like everything needs to be done with intention. Like I'm going to try to put a smile on someone's face today. I think the action precedes a feeling. So I think we can smile and then become happy. I don't think you're happy and then you smile. I genuinely feel that we smile and then we become happy. And so, live with intention. I hope that answered the question of the
I think it's a great answer, Tim. There's no right answers or wrong answers. We're here to encourage our listeners. But I love that you kind of start with routine, right? Like I love routines, like starting, even though you wouldn't think that about me, but my morning routine is important, whether that's my faith time, my exercise, medicine is my movement, or movement is my medicine. But I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were talking about politics for just a brief moment. And we were both saying, we don't believe in politicians changing the world or watching the news, but we believe in each person can make a difference in another person's life. And I think it's exactly what you said, is that living with intention. So I try to smile all the time. People tell me I'm the happiest person they know, but sometimes I've just chosen to smile. I don't even know why I'm smiling. And then people are like, what's up with you? Are you really always happy? And I was like, I don't know if I'm always happy, but I like to smile. It makes me feel better. And then it makes people around you. So I love that. Like, choose it doesn't mean everything's perfect. It means I've decided I'm going to smile. Show the world your smile. It's easy, it's free, and it's an encouragement. It's an intention to live with. So I like that, and I love routines and systems in the morning. I love having kind of my habits that I do that start my day right. But I also know that life happens, and I think a lot of times it's people's career, sometimes it's people's children or their significant relationship. But when we're thrown off because of a crisis, because of a system, so many people feeling alone out there, what do you do to get back when it's hard? When you get up in the morning to an emergency phone call instead of your, rhythm, or unfortunately in our business to people saying, guess what? We're postponing again. Dang it. How do you get back to that rhythm when we're really not feeling it?
My answer to that question, I think, is my talk. And the reason you said it better than I was thinking it, and you coined it earlier to me when we were saying hello. You said, how did you word, and we're live. I'm a professional, people. It's that for me, how do you get back is, we talked about the plane, and my whole talk, and what I do for people. We talk, I don't know how you said it, but we talk on
what we need to learn. Yes.
There we go.
You said it. Need to learn. Yes.
Thank you for saving me there. I think I work on a talk. I've always worked on, because it's where I struggle. And it's like, oh, I'm not the only one that struggles with this. And to that exact question, or that you just asked me, to me, it's about, we need to interrupt a mindset. So I'm like, even just temporarily, just interrupting a mindset. Ironically, my name is Tim, and my mom named me after an acronym, which was crazy, but temporarily interrupting mindsets. That's what I talk on. And so when things happen, because crises are going to happen, life happens, stuff happens, and someone's going to do something to you. Someone's going to say something to me. If you have children, they're going to do or say something, or the first time your child says, I hate you. That's weird. When that first happened, I
remember saying to my mom, I will still love my kids when they say, I hate you. And she's like, why are you saying that? And I'm like, because it's normal to hate your parents in some moment, and sometimes for a week or anyway. Right. But, that's part of parenting.
Right. When you first hear it, though, it's like, what? I'm like the greatest dad ever, I thought. But anyway, I think Yeah, to answer the question for me, how is it? Is anytime there's those moments, those red flags, those circumstances, those whatever happens, those, right? They happen in your life. For me, it's finding a way to interrupt that mindset. Because the mindset that you're on in that moment typically then leads to a horrible day. Um, you know, I could talk a little bit about that. Like one little thing can set us off. Since we have the freedom here, I'll say this: one little thing in your morning can completely destroy an entire day. But it's worse than that because it's not just your day. You know, so many times people, even if you're in a great mood and you go into work, it's like, oh, man, I feel great. Everything's great. And you're all happy and you get to work. And then the first person that comes in contact with you, right? The first person you see does or says something. And what happens? They like suck every bit of happiness right out of you. It's right. And if you're viewing and you're watching this, or maybe even the re-record and you're like, no, I don't understand that. There's a really good chance you're the fun sucker. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And for me, it's like when one little thing happens, how does it affect? I had a cup of coffee. Can I tell this? You've heard this story. I had a cup of coffee and I put it on top of my truck so I could load the truck. Right. And I start driving down the road. I come to my first stop sign and I reach for my cup and it's not there. And then I remembered where it was. And as I pressed the brake, the cup literally launched from the top of my truck, hit the hood, denting it, and then smashing on the road. I was so angry. I was like, and many people can have an experience like that. And then their whole day is just like, well, everything bad happens. And then all of a sudden they're in this mode. And they're in this, that's what happens. For me, I was like, I don't know what to do. I went to the gas station to buy coffee. This is a true story. I went to the gas station to buy coffee, and the lady behind the counter, she was ornery. Matter of fact, everyone I came in contact with that day was in a bad mood, in a foul mood. It was like this dark cloud of the day. It's like, wow, it's not just me. I'm thinking this. And then in my reflection of my day and my life about what that day was for me, I realized, oh, wait a second. These people that I came in contact with the whole day were not in the bad mood. I was the fun sucker. I was the guy that was exuding horrible like attitude, whatever, and it was just coming back to me. I was creating, and how much damage did I do? I had a horrible day, but how many horrible days did I create? You know, just by that one simple thing. So back to intention. It's always about intention, you know, and I never wanted the coffee cup thing to happen again. So I actually went to the store and bought magnets and glue, and I glued magnets to the bottom of every one of our coffee cups. You're smiling, but it makes sense, right? Because if I forget another one now on top of the truck, it's going to be there when I get to my destination, right? And if you don't find funny in that, as you're watching this, you should try it. Glue a magnet to the bottom of one of your cups, just one. Stick it to the top of your vehicle intentionally and drive around your community. I guarantee you some good Samaritan's going to pull up next to you and be like, there's a coffee cup on top of your car. Just look at it and be like, oh, thanks. Roll down the window, grab the cup, take a sip, set it back, keep on driving. All right, I'm done. I'm off my entertainment box.
You're okay. I think that you changed your letters. So I think of people in the world of FS or FF. So you moved from a fun sucker to a fun filler, right? By putting that cup up there, you made somebody smile. And I always say, surround yourself with FFs. There's a lot of people in the world that are fun suckers. They don't want you to be happy. I drive people crazy with my silly happiness over the dumbest things, but I don't care. I want to be happy. I think about that, right? And so I love that you said I was being a fun sucker, because the truth is when we're grumpy, we suck that fun out of other people around us too. And Karen wrote on here, yes, Tim, life happens. There's no getting around it. So that's true. We're all going to go through life. So what do we do with that when we go through life and it's hard? We look for. And what I also wanted to ask you, I like that you gave us your acronym, Tim, temporarily interrupt mindset. But what I'd like you to do is, can you just give me 3 things? You know, I am just stuck in this negative mindset. I don't even know. I'm so overwhelmed with what's going on in my life. I know that's true for some of my listeners. Can you just give me 3 quick examples of what can I do to temper it? Because I've been sitting in this negative seat for so long. I get mad when people are happy around me. What are 3 quick things you could tell a listener that's feeling that? How can they temporarily interrupt their mindset?
Sure. I like how you added quick 6 times in there.
Quick, really quick, Tim. At this point.
Stop talking so much, Tim. Sorry.
No, I mean quick for them. I mean, like in their moment. I never want to put more on people that are already feeling down. So I want to think, how can I temporarily? I want you to answer that question for the listener that's saying, Tim, what do you mean by that? Or tell me that, because I don't think like that.
I like the analogy of when a plane, you can build a plane while you're flying. There are certain things you can still build while you're flying a plane. However, if a plane is broken, the first thing you need to do is land the plane. And then you can fix the plane. You have to land the plane, get yourself back on the ground. And that's what I mean by temporarily interrupting a mindset. So when that red flag comes, when someone does something, when someone says something, even though that we don't think rationally when we're hurt or we're upset or we're tired or when those problems happen, those viewers that are dealing with stresses, and certainly there are things, there are medical issues, and there are those types of things that I'm not speaking to. I'm speaking to like things we have control over.
Okay.
And what we have control over is if someone pulled something out to you, our natural tendency is to take that, right? Okay. As a human nature, okay, we'll take that. What is it? We don't even know. It's the same to me with life. When life hands you something, you have to decide in this moment, do I take this or do I not take this? Because you've done it before. You've taken this pain, you've taken this comment, you've taken this hurt, and you're hanging on to it. And it's this weight that you don't need to carry. It's this, I don't need that. So when something happens, what I mean by how to temporarily interrupt a mindset to me would be, we'll get into the next acronym potentially, and I'll do it I'll pretty quickly. But how do we temporarily interrupt? What good did it do the last time you were in the same situation and you were in this pain? What was the end result of you living in that pity, living in that whatever, taking that pain, owning that, accepting it? What did it do for you? My guess is nothing good. But when we didn't, that one time we decided, I'm not going to let that affect my life right now. That one time, let's look at that. What happened in that moment? You were free of it. It's like, I feel like it's almost like, here, put the cuffs on when I take this pain. So how do we do it? For me, it's the temporarily interrupting of a mindset means all those little things in my house. My house is filled with all these little, gratitude is the best attitude and all those little things. And people give me a hard time about it sometimes, but those are my triggers. Those are I walk by, I'm like, all right, you're right. And those are my temporarily interrupting. It's like, you know what? You're right. Because it's my attitude. It's my choice. It's me. I'm the one that has to live with me. So I'm not going to own this. How can you do it? You can be unbelievably sad and you can't change the circumstance, right? You can't change what's going on, but you'll never get out of it unless you change something. So to me, it's changed the attitude. I am powerful. I am in control. I am all those affirmations that you need. I hope I'm answering this right.
I don't think there's a wrong answer. I was thinking, and whatever, because my brain goes and your brain goes. So I think I thought it was an activity. Like you're actually saying, stop and think about your thinking, be intentional. I thought it was like temporarily interrupt mindset. I thought you meant like stop your negative thought and turn on music, stop your negative thought and go for a jog, stop your negative thought. So I thought of stop, drop, and roll, like with the fire, stop, drop, and roll. And I was like, stop, pop some popcorn and rock, turn up the music. So stop, drop, and roll. I was like, how do you get to that temporary? But you're actually just saying, stop the thought. It's not necessarily about an action yet. In that moment, we're just like, stop the thought.
Yeah. Ground the plane, get back. And now, because what happens is, once we ground the plane, once we go back to ground and realize, wait a second, I'm in control of my thoughts, my feelings, my actions. I'm in control of this. No one controls how I think, how I feel, how I act, but me.
Yeah.
Feeling is a hard one, because feelings, you don't control sometimes how, when someone says something to you, you can't always control a feeling.
But we
You know,
don't control um, what they say, but we do control. I can say, you know what, Tim, that's what you think about me, but that's not what I'm going to think about me. So we do have somewhat control.
but
And
that's,
it took me years to learn that, but
yeah, I
that's,
was going to say, that's a powerful thing. That's
yeah,
hard for people to go, that may be how you feel, but that's not how I feel. That's an inner confidence. That's waking up in the morning and doing your affirmations to your mirror day in and day out and day in and day out, because it's true.
yeah,
Everyone is an unbelievably powerful being, and what we have so much power to give other people.
yeah.
Um, Hence the story I told you earlier about the two people crying. It's like that story, the idea of we are in control. So yes, I mean, land the plane when red flags come and there's anger and you feel hurt and you feel whatever, whatever you need to do. And it may be pop some popcorn. It may be take some deep breaths. It may be yoga. It may be whatever it is that you need to do. Watching a comedy, looking at a cartoon. There are so many things. Or hire a comedian, speaker, keynote guy.
Like Tim.
Right. But that's not for everyone. I'm there for a fleeting moment. How do we do it on a day in and day out basis? You have to find your muse. What takes you out of that situation, and then go to that. And then once you're grounded, that's not a fix. That's just grounding the plane. Now, how do I move forward? If I want to move forward, then it's the idea of, I have another acronym, and I won't go too far into it, but it's GABE, and to me that's the next step after you've grounded the plane. If you want to make sustainable change in your life, you have to start with gratitude, and that's the G. So you have to start with gratitude. Everything's based in gratitude. What in all this situation, I am grateful for this. Find the positive, right? I mean, it's like, yes, this is a horrible situation, but I am so grateful for this. And if I train my brain to think of the gratefulness, we ask our kids when they get home, if you have children, most people will ask your kids, what was your favorite part of the day? Yeah. Why do we do that? We do that because we want them to think of positivity, they find positivity and become positive, right? We want that searching, but then as soon as our kids are old enough, we stop doing it, and then we stop doing it ourselves. Why don't we do it now? What are we grateful for? What am I grateful for today? Ask yourself right now. That's where you start. What am I grateful for? Yeah, this is horrible situation. The proverbial fertilizer has hit the fan, and it's horrible, right? But what am I grateful for? Because there is something to be grateful for. Are you breathing? Do you have, whatever? Are you, whatever? There's
And
so
even
many.
the simple things to be grateful for, that it doesn't have to be a big list, that it can be one or two things. And to also, one thing I love about gratitude is reflect what you're grateful about another person's life, not always just thinking about our own life, but what am I'm grateful that you're on this show with me today. I'm grateful for things outside of myself or that affect me, but that affect the people that I get to hang out with. So I love that. So gratitude is G. What is the
Yeah,
A?
once you start your day, once you start your life, everything with gratitude, it allows you to choose an attitude. It allows you to choose the attitude to attack my day. How am I going to be today? I'm going to choose an attitude of gratitude. You could say this, but my attitude is going to be positive. I'm going to be, even if you are negative to me and say these hurtful things to me, or you're going to do these things, or life is throwing this, you know what? My attitude is going to be, I still care about you. My attitude is positive.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, when you change your attitude, regardless of which attitude you choose, it changes your behavior. Yeah. So good or bad, hopefully you're following the good of this, and then it changes your behavior to be good. And what that does is it changes your environment. For the longest time, I used to say energy was the E. But I think it's better. I've come in the last few months, I guess, environment, because my environment is important, right? It's our environment that we, how is your home life? Yeah. Does that need to change? Because that's, I know one of the questions that I've heard you ask other guests is, which one makes you happier, work or home? I think was the question. And for me, it's like home is the most important especially if you have a family, if you have a spouse or if you have kids, or that's the foundation. That's where everything needs to start. So if that's broken, fix that first.
Yeah.
Use these things to fix that, because then that will allow you to create a positive environment around for other people.
And such a good reminder, Tim, that all starts with you, right? Like you changing you affects your environment in your home, affects your environment in the workplace. It just affects you. And so happiness, as we talk about it, do we think it is more like internal or is it external? Kind of what is happiness, and what's the difference between happiness and joy? Like what's going on with those things? Is happiness outside of us? Is it inside of us? Is there a difference between happiness and joy, or what do you think about those things as a comedian, as an entertainer, but also as an educator, when you speak very sincerely and intentionally about, our attitude and gratitude, and stopping just for a moment, that temporary interruption, which I love, that temporary interruption of our mindset. That mind is a powerful thing. And when we think about happiness and joy, what do you think about all of that?
It's a big one. That's a big one. It opens up, to me, yes, happiness is external. Joy is internal. For me, this is my opinion. I'm not a medical person at all, or psychological. But to me, joy is internal. Can I read what I wrote?
Oh, I would love it. I think you're a beautiful writer and you're a doer. So when I ask you questions, you get to work. And I think Tim wrote a beautiful poem about what's happiness and joy. And sometimes they're confusing, but he does a beautiful job articulating what happiness and joy is to him. So let's listen. What do you have to say?
I love the fact that you said I wrote a poem. I literally,
No, it's a
I
poem.
I
It's a
saw
beautiful poem.
I saw the question, just so you all viewers know. I asked, are there questions that you're going to ask me today? I just wanted you to know. And one of the questions I saw on the list, what is the difference between happiness and joy? And I'm like, ooh, that's a deep one. And so my mind, I panicked a little bit. I'm being very transparent. I was like, okay, I got to think of something. So I'm like writing things down, and I'm like, well, first of all, joy is a little word. Happiness is a bigger word. That was the comedy side of me. And then these are just things that I wrote down, and I wrote this: joy is of the heart, happiness is on the face. Joy is of the soul, happiness is of the moment. Joy transcends, happiness reacts. Joy embraces peace and contentment, waiting to be discovered. Joy runs deep and overflows, while happiness hugs hello. Joy is a practice and a behavior. We talked earlier about it's that repetition, it's that practice, it's that consistency for yourself. Joy is a practice and a behavior. It's deliberate and intentional. Happiness comes and goes along its way. So when life happens, to me, it just comes and goes. It's like, I'm happy now, I'm not happy. Joy is everlasting. Joy is something that you feel internally. Many will say it's a very spiritual, or it can be tied to faith. I believe there's total truth in that, but that's not for everyone. And you don't need to be affiliated or think anything about Christians. I don't like the word Christians, but Christ followers and those, that's whatever that is. It doesn't even need to be that. You don't need to believe that. You don't have to have any relationship to understand that joy is eternal. Joy comes from here. So joy is profound and spiritual, because it's don't worry, rejoice. And I said happiness is balm. It's like, don't worry, be happy. The difference of that. Joy is an inner feeling. Happiness is an outward expression. These are things. Joy endures hardship and trial and connects us with meaning and purpose. A person pursues happiness but chooses joy. So, I think I've heard many cliches, and I love them. I love all the little signs. I really do. It's kind of tacky. I get it, but we have them looking cool in our house. But the idea that we choose our day, right? Whether our day is going to be good or bad is our choice. I love a quote. I found a quote a while back from Abe Lincoln. He said, most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. I'm like, good old Abe. It's like, it still lasted, and it's true, right? We have to start our day with that choice. I
I
forget.
love it. I do think it's a poem, Tim. And I was just thinking, not only do I think it's a poem, I think it's such a relevant and important poem this week. Valentine's Day. I love Valentine's Day because I love love. I love being an encourager. I love loving everyone. But I think a lot of people feel extra lonely this week. They focus on what they don't have rather than what they do. So I love this poem because to me it is a love poem about what joy and happiness is. And I think it was downloaded in you so that you could share it with us. So I am going to ask you to share it in the comments when I post these and tag you and just ask you to share it because I think people are searching. There's so many people searching out there. I don't feel happy, or how come nobody loves me, or how come I'm not good enough, or how come or Annie has this, or Tim has this, or their life. No. We all have complications and challenges, but we all have gifts and we all have choices. And I just think you articulate very well happiness and joy, which I think, though they're simple words, can be very confusing for people when I talk to them. So I love that. And I know, Tim, just like me, not everything makes us happy. Not every day is easy for us. We face many challenges, and I so appreciate your friendship through some of the challenges I've gone through, and just being able to talk openly about being a parent with you and knowing that that can be challenging at times. So what is something that does steal your happiness, because I feel like I always want to be relatable to our audience. I know people are out there saying, hey, I don't feel that happy, Annie. So what are some things that do steal your happiness or your joy?
The first thing that came to my mind when you just asked that question was overall arching negative self-talk, negative. It doesn't end. It's like a situation happens, and I had mentioned earlier how I'll have I'll have a full-on conversation. Like if someone confronts me or does something that I don't, or I feel threatened, it's all about ego, right? So if our ego is bruised in any way, and we get really angry, and that's what the ego does, right? It's like we want to protect ourselves, and I never leave it at that. I'm telling you, when you say, "Oh, your life's good," you speak unhappy. Oh my gosh, I am probably the most negative person by myself. You wouldn't know that because I'm choosing to. I have to choose every day. I'm going to be positive. Again, we speak on what we need the most help on. So my research, my living, my diving into stuff to realize how can I help people on a human level? How can I help people just a little bit, have a little bit better day every day? How just a little bit. It's like, because there's going to be problems. Trust me, I have a lot of issues. So the stress is for me, kids. I have two sets of twins. So I have a lot of kids. And they don't stress me out. I love them to death, but I'm not really good with all the busyness. Everyone asking me a question at one time, and I get stressed out, and I'm anal retentive and a little. I like everything very organized and neat, and when you have kids, that doesn't happen. So it's like this constant twitch going on. It's like I can't do it. I can't function sometimes. So that's where the stress comes. And then I get angry because I'm constantly doing laundry or doing dishes, doing this. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then I'm going to be gone for 3 days. When I come back, it's going to be horrible. And, my wife works out of the home, and then she'll come home after a long day, and it's like, and I'm home working in the office, and then one thing happens, or the kids say something, and then there's a stress. And so yeah. And then it's like, wow, how can I possibly go talk to that group tomorrow on how to land the doggone plane when all I want to do is shoot the thing out, that type of, I get, and it's like, I'm just lying. And it's like, no, because it's a constant challenge. This is an every day when you wake up.
It's humanness.
Yeah.
And one thing you're really saying that is like the foundation of every talk I give is, what is your narrative? When I use the word story, but people say, oh, it's your narrative. And I'm like, what is the story you're telling yourself about yourself and about other people? Because I told myself I think what makes me happy today too, partially, is I spent 20 years telling myself that, making lists out loud on paper and in my head about everything wrong with me. And when I was 20 years old, I was like, I'm kind of done with beating myself up. That's exhausting, and it doesn't help me or anyone else. And I started making lists of everything great about me. And that doesn't mean everybody likes me. It doesn't mean everybody agrees with me, but I like me. And if I don't like me, I can never be my best. And I mean, Tim, I look at you as I was just talking about you to another speaker the other day, and I was like, I just love Tim Gary Wilson. He's such an encourager. He's so kind. He'll just reach out and give me a little nugget here and there. And I appreciate you. I loved speaking at a conference with you. It was so fun to just we both, our hearts to help people. I love that. And so really what I wanted to ask you, what I wanted to move out of, because there's a lot of things that can steal our happiness, but our mindset is definitely a huge one. And what we think about ourselves or what we think about other people can really steal that joy. But I wanted you to tell me, what are your three, this is a challenging one, it's not on there. What are your three your three things that bring you the most joy and happiness in your home? What are those things that just like, what's amazing about my house, about my family? Tell me that. What are three things that are amazing about you and your family?
Well, you're right. You did throw this one on me. I'm a preparer. I like to prepare.
No, I'm making you uncomfortable. You got it.
No. First of all, the easy answer is not. It seems like cliche, but it literally is the quality time with the kiddos, and my wife, of course. But it's like that time when you're able to just be. For instance, yesterday for the first time, my oldest set of twins, they're 13, boy, girl, and they, they're now on a phone, and I know this wasn't in my home, but I drove them to grandma and grandpa's, and I'm noticing as I'm driving, they're both doing this, and I'm like, okay, hold up, because no, and I just let them talk, and it was listening to them talk and listening to them, all their little problems and their little dramas at school, and so says this, and so on, and it's like in my mind I'm like, ugh, a little bit, but it was wonderful. So what brings me joy is when they feel they can chat with me. I think the joy is knowing that my kids know that I love them, because so many people have never heard the words "I love you." And they've gone their whole lives, and you hear it, and then their parents never said it, and they never said it to their parents. And I'm like, I don't even understand that. And it's like, that's like, if that's who you are right now and you're listening, and it's like, I've never been told that, and I don't ever say that. Well, you have control of saying it, so start saying it. It's like, love them, love them. And I think that's it. When you come home and it's daddy, and they're still running to you because I'm still cool. My kids are still young enough that I'm cool, right? I mean, they think I'm amazing. The veil has not been torn. They think I'm still cool. So that is probably what brings me the most joy. Selfishly, if I come home to a clean house, that probably makes me the most happy. But yeah, I think it's the quality time. I think it's, I love meals together. We try to do as many of those as possible. I know it's hard in a busy lifestyle with sports and all this, but when you can have those moments, and just the simple things, each kid is different, and my wife is different. It's like what we enjoy. Sometimes I don't even need to talk to my wife if we're just in the same room, even in the same house, just knowing that we're here. It's like, all right, there's just this peace about that. There's like, all right, it's cool. I know we're okay. We don't even just sit next to each other. If I'm reading and you're doing, we don't have to even talk. I don't know. I guess that brings me some pure inner joy of being around the family.
I love that because I talked about the love language books earlier this month on social media. And I said, when I read it, I thought I had all five for sure. And my husband had none. And then my oldest son, when he was a teenager, read it. And he goes, Mom, I read this book at a church retreat. It was about relationships. And we had to figure out our love language and then ask. And then if we got ours done quick, we could figure out our parents. And I said, okay, well, what'd you figure out? He goes, oh, mine's gifts, Mom. All teenagers, it's gifts. We want the keys to the car. We want money. We want new clothes. I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, did you figure out ours? I have all five. Dad doesn't have any. And he said, well, you do have all five. We all do to some degree. But he said, your number one is quality time. He said, every year for your birthday, all you ask is that we all come home and we order pizza because you don't want anyone cooking or cleaning. You just want to order pizza and us to be around each other and play games and talk and laugh. And it is. I love what you said. I mean, I joke about locking your kids in the back seat with no phones and how by accident they'll start to talk to you even when they don't want to. And how it's like, just like, oh my gosh, Mom, what do you think about this? And someone said this. And it does seem like, oh my gosh, these are middle school or high school problems. Who cares? But then it's like, no, well, oh, that must have hurt your feelings. Oh, that is a big, you just get to be in their presence. So I love Tim, that is one of your things that brings you, and whether it's family meal or family conversation or locking them in the car or talking to them, not that you're like, but just, I love that. I know those moments, our kids are all adults, they outage you. And so my 3 kids are older than me now and they don't live with us anymore. And those moments I just savor. I mean, I write it down on the calendar. When are they coming to visit next? When do I get to go see them next? I get to fly and spend time this weekend with 2 of my 3 kids, and just, I treasure those moments. So I love that I love that that's one of your favorites. I love to know what brings you happiness about your career. What is it in your career that brings you joy and happiness? What do you love? You had a story about how you touch some people.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. It's the fact that I know that I'm affecting someone else. When I know that someone goes, even in my entertainment show has a silver lined message, and it's very undertoned. But if you're listening, you hear it loud as anything. And when they come up afterwards and go, you were talking to me. In that moment, it's like, all right, I did what I was supposed to do today, because I spoke, even if it's just that one person, because who knows what they do, where they affect it. So I guess that probably brings me the happiness that comes from it. It's a job and it's kind of cool and I love it, and I get to be in front of people and I get to do all the things that I love. Those are surface issues, but those are also things that bring me joy. But the ultimate joy, I think, for me, or the ultimate happiness, is when I know that I've helped somebody else. Very briefly, in my talk, I talk about that I made 2 different people cry 2 different weeks apart, and it's like, okay, where's he going with this? And in the first one, there was a guy that was on stage, and I was joking and I do it all the time. I've done it for 30 years. I've done these same kind of jokes, and they're supposed to fall for it. Well, he had a failed hearing aid, and the audience is laughing at him not answering the questions correct. He, of course, in his mind, wasn't noticing what was going on, and he couldn't hear. So he thought people were laughing at him, and he couldn't hear, and he was having this experience. And I was young, 30 years ago, young, and he was an old man to me at that time. I mean, he's not, but he's definitely wasn't an old man, because he was probably, but he was very old, and I made him cry. He literally was in tears on stage and left the room. I mean, I'm shortening the story to just tell you what happened, but he left, and I'm like, oh my word, I was taught to respect older people. I heard him. And I almost left this career. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. I remembered, I'll be very transparent. I was weeping afterwards, but in my car. It was at a fair. I never tell people where it was. It was a county fair is where it was. And I think I was 17, 18 years old. And it just broke my heart. I didn't know what to do. And not too long later, I had another show. I was in a Sammy Davis room in Reno, Nevada, at a 10-week contract. And I remember walking in, and I had changed who I was. I had changed by this time my character, because I didn't want to hurt people on stage. I changed my demeanor. I understood that he was supposed to fall for those jokes. He couldn't hear. He was embarrassed. I now know the situation, but I could have controlled that. I could have been smarter. So I became better. And I walked back into the theater, and there's a woman crying. And in my mind, I was angry. I'm like, no, I changed. What? Why? I worked on that. I was like, I was mad, but are you okay, ma'am? And I remember, I wish I remembered her name, but she looked up at me and she said, young man, I lost my husband just a couple months ago. And this is the first time that I've been out, and I didn't think of my pain for the past hour. And I just wanted to thank you. And it was like, oh my word, I have the power to help. I have the power to hurt. It's like, and we all do. We all have this power every day. So when you put on a smile, why is it important that even when you're in a bad mood? Because it's like the boomerang of life, right? The kindness boomerang, which is a great book. But if you throw it, you throw it out, a kindness, and it'll come back. If you throw out garbage, if you throw out negativity, that's where you exist. So it's like, even when you're in the lowest of lows, and you just put on a smile. I don't like fake it till you make it, but kinda, it's like you just have to, like, it's going to precede the feeling. I'm going to smile, and then happy's going to follow. And you have no idea I'm not going to go into my story, but my life was changed by someone who every day came in. It was a janitor in my school. This is my educational keynote, but he smiled every day. And that smile, I believe, made me choose from not wanting to be on this planet to now being here and hopefully helping other people do the same. It was a smile. That's it. So just, yeah, smile. Be grateful for what you have, not what you don't. Like you said, focus on what you have, focus on the good, not the bad, because whatever you focus on will grow, right? So if I focus on all the negative, like you made a list of negativity, that list just kept growing, right? But ironically, if you make another list of all the things you're grateful for, that list will grow too. And then all of a sudden you don't even, none of those matter. Yes, we're all going through, everyone has a story, right? Everyone has a story. Everyone's going through pain. Everyone, no matter how good you think someone has it, or like, oh, they have it so good. Stop looking at Facebook, because that's, you're just seeing the, I don't even
Look
really
at my Facebook. Don't look at other people's Facebook. How about that? I'm always going to bring you encouragement. So
right.
I love that. I think so many great points in that story. And I always think the privilege of the platform, right? We have the ability, our words are powerful, and we have the ability to encourage. We have the ability to spark laughter. We have the ability to invite tears that are within out. We have the ability to spread hope and help people change their attitudes. I love all of it, Tim. Thank you for those of you hanging in there with us and listening. Tim, I bet people love you. I bet people can't wait to hire you. Bring your humor, bring your Tim acronym and your Gabe acronym to their presentation. How do they get a hold of you? What is the best place to connect with you? How can they reach out and connect and get to know more about you?
You're very kind to ask that. TimGabrielson.com is going to be the easiest, just direct way in. So, and if the name seems really crazy because you can't read it on the bottom, you're like, I don't know how to spell that. KeepItFunny.com will lead you here too. So,
KeepItFunny.com.
Keep
I
It
like
Funny. That was my original. Keep it funny.
Well, Gabrielson has a lot of letters in for those of us that have dyslexia like me. And so I'm like, is there a Gabe? So then where's the E? But the E's on the other side. It's a lot of confusion.
Angel Gabriel's son, or son of Gabriel. Very Swedish. Son of Gabriel. Gabriel's son. So
got it. Very
good.
Excellent. Great to have you with us today. We appreciate you. We hope that we brought a little bit of hope, a little bit of health, and a little bit of happiness back into your life and gave you some ideas that can share with you. We will have Tim share that beautiful poem to remind us what joy and happiness is. And we hope to see you next Wednesday. Thanks for being with us.
Bye.
Bye.